Orange, Black, and White. An original story by the Aqualandian Chronicles. Chapter 1. Goodbye to the world of old. Orange, that is all there is to be seen. As I watched the giant metal island of megalithic proportions disappear before my eyes, I feel my body being crushed into itself under the extreme pressure of the planet, and my bones begin to fail their duties. It's now or never. If I don't do it now, how many more will die? I'm falling faster and faster and faster towards my demise. Pop! My ears burst. Blood rushes out due to the pressure crushing them. The pain is immeasurable. I'm crying in unfathomable pain and hurtle towards my imminent death as clouds of acid hurl by me, burning my exposed foot. I can only wonder, how did I get here? Monday, November 2191. I stepped away from my house in Los Angeles into a military vehicle. Before I leave my home for possibly the last time, I look back at a picture of my platoon from the Second Great Sino-American War. As I settled down inside the car, it began to move. I was in total darkness as I sat in my seat. All I felt was the bumps of the road, making the car go up and down slightly. The car stopped after around 20 minutes, and I was at my destination. I stepped out onto the green grass from a pure black metal car. I looked back at the car that I had just emerged from. No windows. Little water droplets from the grass were getting my shoes wet as I continued to stand in place. As I walked along the concrete path, the bright yellow sun was beating down on me. While the sun danced across the blue sky, I slowly walked toward the giant concrete building. It was a structure of megalithic proportions. A massive concrete behemoth stood before me with glass windows going across the building like a wave of blue in an ocean of gray. There was also the jewel of the structure, a stained glass window which had the imagery of the moon as a flower and an American seal that stated the words, Bureau of Moon Regulations. But that was merely a disguise. I was taking nervous breaths as I got closer. I knew what I had signed up for, but I couldn't quite believe it myself. I mean, no normal human could understand what was about to happen. I entered the building and used my pass, which had a reflective, shimmering nature to it. I scanned it against the little green laser, which made a loud beep sound, familiar to those which the robots had made at the door. I then proceeded to the elevator. I clicked a combination of floor keys, an unusual one at that. It was 91-00. Then the elevator began to descend. Bum, bum, bum. The slow thud of the cable lowering the metal box like a snake descending a tree. Bum, bum, bum. -10 feet, -20 feet. -30 feet. The elevation kept dropping at a rapid pace, as if it was free falling from a blimp. It kept descending till it got to -91 feet. The doors opened slowly, and yet so gracefully, to an office in chaos. The scene could only be described as that of beautiful chaos, imbued with the emotions of the people which the scene was made of. People ran around like monkeys, carrying everything they could. Shouts are being yelled across the intercom. Urgent, urgent was repeatedly shouted over the comm. Soldiers patrolled the office, making sure nothing got in that wasn't supposed to be there, and also that nothing got out that shouldn't. The soldiers stood as tall golems protecting the mystery and secrecy of this project. Then I heard, Major Marshall Miller, please report to the command center. I tensed up. Those words frightened me beyond belief. I ran as fast as I could to a small metal box across the floor. It was pure titanium without any windows. A huge vault opened. I got into a sanitation room. It felt as nerving as I entered the main room. I could smell the sterilizers to make sure that there were no bacteria in the building. It smelled of strong hand sanitizer. A man wearing many badges to mark he was of high importance was standing across from me there, as if I had kept him waiting for 1,000 years. He held many more badges in the form of scars. The man to stand before me was General Albert Lee, the hero of the Second Sino-American War and a descendant of General Robert E. Lee. Thought to have been killed in the final battle of Beijing, along with the other 3 million souls lost in that battle. but he was secretly found and saved by the US military so they could keep using his talents for administration and leadership. But he was much older and more decrepit, not like his more youthful self, and with age comes the degradation of the human body. Not much could be done, saying the outlaw of bionic parts of the human body in fear of national security being compromised. So they keep him in one of the cleanest rooms they can to limit the chances of him dying. And behind him stood the real reason I was here, a massive crest with the Bureau of Human Preservation depicted upon it. It was an eagle over a globe carrying a capsule with 2 words on it, hope and aspiration. For now the United States had taken the job of protector of not just the present, but the future. He said, "Major, you do not understand what service you are doing for us. I cannot thank you enough." I replied, "Of course, General, it's my duty to protect Of course, General, it is my duty to protect our people." But secretly, I was not sure if I was ready to do what I had to. Before we continue, let me go over the plan one more time. Yes, sir. Your job is to see if there's any crisis in the future. The credibility and the honor of the Bureau is on the line. You are to go into this rocket on screen, whereby with the use of various propellants, we will be able to fly you at speeds close to the speed of light. Time moves slower the faster you go. Some 10 seconds for us will be 1,000 years for you. You will bring but one item. He handed me what looked like a flashlight, with a small box attached to the bottom of it. It was pure black with a little hole at the top. He said, "That is a light that can go faster than light. It shoots a laser out and pushes it with an extra bolt of light. This allows it to bend time to do something we cannot do with a larger object. It also has a special wavelength, so we should be able to detect it and differentiate it from the other light, You will use the light to send us back a sign that something bad has happened. If you send the beam back, we will be notified that there will be soon a crisis and that we will be on extra caution. I would like to remind you that once you go to the future, we will not be able to bring you back." "I understand, General. I'm committed to going on this journey across the stars." Although, as I said this, I didn't really mean it. In my heart, there was still a labyrinth of uneasiness I had to go through to get there. Then another man burst into the room. He was wearing his uniform to a perfect standard, and he had the most overly formal demeanor and voice ever. The general said, "You're late, John." John responded, "I'm deeply sorry, sir. Please accept my apology." "You can go, Marshal," he told me. John was also going on the mission, but on a different ship. I had always felt he was too serious and devoted. Ever since he left his fellow comrades to take the objective, I had always wondered why he was so driven to prove his worth at the expense of others. What happened to him? Never mind, it isn't relevant. I then stepped out of the metal box while John was being briefed on the mission. I looked out into the office with an uneasy feeling. I wasn't sure if I really wanted to go on this mission now that it was so close. Tick, tock, tick. The clock went on like this for an hour. I just sat on the bench contemplating my life and really truly understanding what was about to happen. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this. Well, this was my last chance to back out. Then it came over the intercom. "Rocket launch in 10 minutes. I had trouble getting up, as if my body was glued to the bench, not wanting to leave. I made my way to the surface, using the same elevator I used originally. There I saw it. Hope. The name of the ship that was to be the hope of humanity. And next to it was Aspiration, the one John was taking. It was named Aspiration because it was supposed to be the aspiration of humanity's future. They were identical in looks, a large, pointed ship. No colors, just heat-resistant metal alloy. But it was just a tube with no fins. It was clear that this ship was built for one-way use. While many may see the hope of humanity, all I saw was my over-glorified casket. I walked up to the launch zone and entered the rocket slowly. It was just white, the sides covered with pressure-resistant pillows to cushion the extreme speed. But there was one other thing. A clock. It was uncanny. A simple children's clock. It felt like the rocket was an insane asylum, with a pure white room and a single item. It was straight out of one of those old movies with the insane characters. Then I heard something over the intercom. "Launch soon. Last chance to back out." I should have backed out, but I was in more than I bargained for. I was not even close to ready for what I would have to do. But I stood my ground and did not leave the rocket. The door shut. I was alone, by myself. I saw nothing but white. Then I heard the words that echo in my ear as I reminisce about the events. "Marshall, say bye to 2191, were the last words I heard from my original time. Then the rocket lifted off. A thrust of energy and power jolted through the rocket, and then through my body. I was shot to the edge of the rocket. At least there was a pillowy surface for my comfort. There was a small window. I could see the sky sling about to shoot me out of the atmosphere and into open space. I was flung out at a tremendous speed. I looked back at Earth. I wish I had looked at it longer. The blue marble of beauty which faded away, never to be seen by me again. Or at least, not that Earth which I loved so much. Right now I yearn to see Mother Earth's beautiful seas that flowed like a fish downstream. Then it began. I heard something. Time travel initiated. And I was thrust to the back of the ship with a powerful force that made my body almost break. I looked out the window and expected to see all the beautiful individual lights, but instead what I saw was a blur of light. It was that of the most mundane horror, and the reality that the beauty of the stars and the cosmos was just presented to me as a blur of unanimous light hit me like a rock. Everything individual became one. I was going too fast for light to be seen as individual stars, but when I looked at my clock, it was slowing down. Slowing down, but how could that be? Time really was being warped. I didn't know why, but it was then that I realized what I had just signed up for. A chill like the Arctic tundra went down my spine. That clock had made me realize what was happening. I really just left home, and I would never be able to see it again for the rest of my life. I panicked as the realization came to my mind like a virus invading every part of my consciousness. I now know what that clock was for. It was for me to understand what was actually happening. I experienced terror like no other. The lights being blurred, the slowing of the clock, the mental breakdown of knowing that everything I once knew was gone. It was too much. My brain couldn't handle it all at once. Bright lights, tick-tocks of the clock, the mental virus destroying my mind. Black. That was all there is to be seen. I had passed out. I simply could not have lasted any longer. I then woke up in what looked like a clothes rack. But it was floating? I was really confused. Was it all a dream? Had I just passed out in a store? Maybe I was still on Earth. Ideas whizzed in my mind until I heard something. "Those are some interesting clothes you got there, yeah?" a voice said.